Hi, Nick here, and today we're going to work on Barcelona, which is a really fun fingerstyle song from George Ezra. This song is probably best for people who are a little bit into fingerpicking already. I don't really want to call it beginner or intermediate because I think if you're into fingerpicking or fingerstyle that you're at least an intermediate player and not a total beginner who doesn't know any chords. If you haven't done finger picking before, I think this would be an okay song to learn, though not the easiest possible one. It's not the hardest either. Okay, so this song is in open D tuning is what we're going to learn it in. And there are a couple different ways that I've seen George Ezra play it. If you look online, he seems to play it in a couple different keys. I believe in the album it's in the key of F. And a lot of times you'll see him play it with a capo on the first fret, which tells us that he's actually tuned to open E, and he's putting a capo on the first fret to play it in F. Now, open E and open D are the same relative tuning, and I like to play in open D because it's easier to tune your guitar to. And I have another lesson that I'm going to put up about how to tune your guitar to open D if you haven't done that before. I just like the way the guitar sounds at this sort of lower pitch. You're also less likely to break a string than when you're tuning up. But if you want to try to tune it up to open E and then put a capo on the first fret, feel free to do that. I probably would not try to tune the guitar to open F because for most guitars, you're likely to break a string. Either that or the action on your neck is going to be to the point where it's not as playable. So, for me, the best way to get to F is to tune it down to open D and put a capo on the third fret. That'll get you to the key of F. So, like I say, if you're a singer-songwriter and you want to learn to sing and play the song, you can move the capo around and try different keys. Okay, so anyway, the recorded version of the song is in F, but we're going to learn it in the key of D so that we can work with these open strings and the frets without having to refer to a capo. I think it'll just be easier to learn. Okay, so let's start off and look at the right hand picking pattern that we're going to use throughout most of the song. I have the camera angled here so you can see the picking hand. And I guess we can just start off by looking at the bass notes. So we're going to have an alternating bass figure. It's going back and forth between the 6th string and the 4th string. And you may notice here that when I play the 6th string, I'm also kind of brushing the 5th string a little bit as well. Now, you don't have to play that way. If you're used to finger picking just one string at a time with your thumb, like most people are, I think you can just play the 6th and 4th strings like that. But to get a more accurate sound to what George is doing, and I think it also sounds pretty good to play it this way, you want to brush the 5th string whenever you play the 6th string. And there are a couple of points about this. First, you'll note that I'm playing just with my thumb here. I don't have a thumb pick like I normally do. And you're also playing with the fleshy part of your thumb, not your thumbnail, not classical style. So if you're new to this kind of thumb picking, then you might get a little blister on your thumb a la Mark Knopfler, as I have, because I don't always play like this. But it is kind of fun to learn. And if it gives you trouble at first, you may want to just focus on the bass part, like that, okay? So again, note that we're just sort of brushing the 5th string when we play it. We don't want the 5th and 6th strings to ring out equally loud because it sounds kind of muddy in the bass. When you look at some of these chords we're going to play, sounds a little bit heavy metal there. So you just want to kind of lightly brush the 5th string whenever you play the 6th string, okay? So that's our bass pattern right there. And when I go through these examples of how to play the pattern, I'm just going to call out the 6th string and the 4th string like that, even though, again, when we play the 6th, we're also brushing the fifth. I'm just going to call it out as 6. So for the treble strings, we're going to use our first finger to play notes on the 3rd string, and we're going to use our ring finger to play the notes on the 1st string, okay? So normally your middle finger gets the 2nd string, but we're not going to be using that with this picking pattern. So those are the fingers we're going to use to pick these notes. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the sort of main picking pattern of the song. Okay, so the pattern is going to go like this. We're going to have 6 and 1 at the same time. 4, 3, 6, 1, 4, 3. Again, 6 and 1, 4, 3, 6, 1, 4, 3. And then when you play through it at first, you may just want to loop it at a slower tempo. 6 and 1, 4, 3, 6, 1, 4, 3, 6 and 1, 4, 3, 6, 1, 4, 3. Now, when we count it out for the rhythm, we're going to use a 16th note pattern, and it's going to be mostly straight 16th notes. We count out, or can count out, 16th notes as 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and with this particular pattern, we're not going to be picking a note on the E of 1 or the E of 3. And that little rhythmic space there, I think, is what gives this riff its sort of groove. So counting it out, it's going to go 1 and 2E and 3 and 4E and with the pattern 1 and 2E and 3 and 4E and 1 and 2E and 3 and 4E and Okay, so now let's take a look at the verse figure. And actually the intro is the same as the verse. It's just, all instrumental and no vocals. And the progression is going to be 2 bars of D and 2 bars of G, and then it repeats. So we have 8 bars total. Of course, we're in open D here, so D is our 1 chord and G is our 4 chord. But if we were playing it with the capo on the 3rd fret from open D, our 1 chord would be F and our 4 chord would be B flat, and that's the key that he uses on the album. But right now we're in D, so we're just going to call it D and G. Actually, I think the 4 chord ends up being like a major 7 chord, but I'm just going to call it G. And for D, we just play all the strings open. And over the top of it, we're going to run a melody line here that goes like this. We're going to start off with our first finger on the 1st string, 2nd fret. All these notes are going to be on the 1st string, by the way. We're going to hammer on to the 4th fret with our 3rd finger. Pick that note again. And after we pick it, we're going to kind of slide up. Now, this isn't a slide where we hear both ends of the slide like that. What we're going to do is sort of let the note trail off and almost disappear as we slide up. And once we get up here to the 9th fret, we're picking the note again. So just that first part, like that. It's not, again, you let that slide trail off. And don't worry too much about getting it exactly right, but know that you don't want the slide to be really loud. It's just kind of trailing off like that. So again, from the top, we have 2nd fret, hammer onto the 4th fret with our 3rd finger, pick that note again, slide up, pick the note on the 9th fret, pull off to the 7th fret, using your 1st finger for that note, play the 7th fret note again. We're going to slide down, again kind of trailing off. Back here, again on the 2nd fret, we're going to do that same hammer-on, 2nd to 4th fret. Again, picking it, sliding up. Then we're going to play 9th fret, pull off to the 7th fret. And then we're going to play the 7th fret and pull off to the open string. So from the top, that figure, okay, so over the 4 chord, G in this case, since we're in open D, it's going to be a little bit simpler. We're going to have 1st string open, 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 hammer on to 4th fret, 4th fret, and then it repeats. And as we go back to the 1 chord, back to D, you can kind of slide down your 1st finger, again with one of those trailing off slides. So what we're playing over this G chord, so let me just play the 1st string notes for you for this verse progression. Okay, so now let's try to combine these melody notes on the 1st string with the picking pattern. And remember the picking pattern, we weren't using our fingers to pick the E after the 1 or the 3. And when we add this melody line in, those notes that we hammer on or pull off are going to land on that E a lot of times, as we'll see. So let's just look at the strings first. We're going to have 6 and 1, hammer on in there. 4, 3, 6, 1, 4, 3, 6 and 1, pull off, 4, 3, 6, 1, 4, 3, 6 and 1, hammer on, 4, 3, 6, 1, 4, 3, 6 and 1, pull off, 4, 3, 6, 1, pull off in 4th string at the same time, 3rd string. So that last part again is going to be 6, 1, pull off, and 4th string at the same time, then the 3rd string. And then we go to the 4 chord. Okay, so we're going to have our 2nd finger on the 6th string, 5th fret, and our 3rd finger is going to be on the 5th string, 5th fret. And again, remember when we hit these bass notes, you really want to focus on the 6th string and just kind of brush the 5th string. You don't want it to be too much of a power chord sound there. You might just want to practice that because it's a little bit trickier, I think, with these fretted notes. So the picking pattern we're going to have here, we're going to have 6 and 1 at the same time, 4, 3, 6, 1, 4, 3, 6 and 1, hammer onto that 4th fret note there, 4, 3, 6, 1, 4, 3. Before I go through the whole thing and count it out, note when we're playing the 4 chord here that we do have that pause after the 1st beat. So with the picking pattern, it's going to be 1 and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 and 2 E and 3 E and So that E after 1, we don't have a note there. Okay, so let's go through the verse progression now. We're going to play through it slowly and count it out as we go. So again, because we're in open D, it's going to be 2 bars of D, the 1 chord, 2 bars of G, the 4 chord, and then it repeats. So we're going to have 8 bars total. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and we kind of slide down and we're going to repeat it. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and whoa, out of breath after that. But anyway, I think it helps for you to play through the progression slowly like that at first until you get it down. Because if you speed it up too quick, you may not get the groove right. So just start off with the progression slowly at a slow tempo and gradually build your speed up. Okay, so that gets us through the verse. And again, the song starts off with the intro, which is just the verse progression with no vocals on top of it. Then we have the first verse. And then we go into the chorus. Okay, so the chorus progression goes like this. In the key of D, we're going to have E minor, which is like the 2 chord. Then we're going to have F sharp minor, which is our 3 chord. And then we're back to G again, which is our 4 chord. Now actually, these minor chords here, because the open strings are there, are actually going to be like a minor 7. This would be, I guess, like minor 7, flat 13 with no 7. And again, this is kind of a major 7 sound, but I'm just going to call it the 2, the 3, and the 4 chord. So in the key of D, that's E minor, F sharp minor, and G. And if we had the capo on and we were in F, the chords would be G minor, A minor, and B flat. So we start off here, we have it's 2 bars that you play through 3 times for a total of 6 bars. It's going to be E minor for 2 beats, F sharp minor for 2 beats, and then this G for 4 beats, the whole bar. And then that repeats 3 times, or rather you play through it 3 times, and then we go back to what we were playing in the verse. It's 2 bars of D and 2 bars of G. And then that is how we get through the chorus. And then after that goes back to the second verse. But let's look at this chorus progression here. So we start off looking at the chords. We get this minor chord by putting our first finger on the 3rd string, 1st fret, 3rd finger on the 5th string, 2nd fret, and our 2nd finger on the 6th string at the 2nd fret. And again, you want to try to make sure you have these bass notes held down so that they're not buzzy. It happens sometimes, but try to avoid that if you can. And once again, with the thumb, we're just kind of brushing the 5th string. So this chord, playing everything but the 2nd string as part of the voicing. And then the next chord is going to be the exact same shape. We move it up 2 frets. So our first finger is on the 3rd string, 3rd fret, 3rd finger on the 5th string, 4th fret, 2nd finger on the 6th string, 4th fret. And again, we can play everything but the 2nd string. All right. And then we get to the 4 chord, G, and we've seen this voicing before. It's, again, 3rd finger, 5th string, 5th fret, 2nd finger, 6th string, 5th fret. And again, we're going to play everything but the 2nd string. Okay? So those are the chords that we haven't seen yet for the chorus, or at least these two. And we're going to use that same picking pattern. But because there aren't any hammer-ons here, we're going to have that pause. There's going to be no note picked on the E of 1 and the E of 3. So it's going to go like this. Picking pattern-wise, same thing. 6 and 1, 4, 3, 6, 1, 4, 3. Move up to this chord. 6 and 1, 4, 3, 6, 1, 4, 3. Same up here. 6 and 1, 4, 3, 6, 1, 4, 3. Then you do it again. Okay, so let's count through the chorus rhythmically now. Again, we don't have any hammer-ons or pull-offs here, so we're going to have a little space there because we're not picking the notes on the E of 1 or the E of 3. So we're going to count it out like this. 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and then we repeat this part again 2 more times. 1 and 2 E and 3 and okay, so I'm going to play through the chorus now slowly for you so you can see how it goes. Again, we start off with this E minor, F sharp minor to G part, and we're going to play through that 3 times, and then we go back to the D and G part, okay? Okay, and then from there you go into the second verse. Okay, so the second verse is the same as the first, but it's a little bit shorter and it's structured a little bit differently. Instead of 2 bars of D and 2 of G and repeating that, we're going to have 4 straight bars of D, or the 1 chord, and then 2 bars of G, or the 4 chord. So it's only 6 bars, this second verse. Okay, so the second verse just goes like this. So the same riff that we've seen before, just arranged a little bit differently. We have those 4 straight bars of the 1 chord and then just 2 of the 4 chord before going to the second chorus, which is going to be the same as the first chorus. It starts out with this progression here. Those 2 bars, you're going to play through it 3 times, except after the 3rd time of playing through that progression, you go to a solo or instrumental section, and I'll go over that in a minute. And then after that, we have the chorus number 3. You're just going to play through this part now 6 times, so that's going to be 12 bars. And then it drops out. He's kind of singing some vocals over it, and there's maybe a little synth or a keyboard or something going. But you have that whole thing kind of going on in the bass line. You might just want to strum it twice. It's real quiet like that. And then it comes back with the picking pattern. And then we have the outro, which is the same as the verse progression, just like we had in the intro. And the last time you play through it, going back to the one chord or D, you just strum it and let it ring, and that's the end of the song. Okay, so that concludes this part of our lesson on Barcelona by George Ezra. We looked at the picking pattern, the chords, the verse, the chorus, and also talked a little bit about the intro and the outro of the song. So basically we've covered just about everything except for the little solo or instrumental section that comes after the second chorus. And I will cover that in the second part of this lesson on Barcelona. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this part 1 of our lesson on Barcelona. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. So again, when we transition from the G or the 4 chord back to the D or the 1 chord, when we repeat it in that verse there, we're going to go from this 4th fret here and kind of slide down. And it's one of those trailing off slides to get to the 2nd fret where we start the 1 chord part of the verse. So again, that's the transition there. Okay, so as a bonus, I thought I'd talk a little bit about what kind of guitar you might want to play this on. Of course, I have an acoustic guitar here, and I think that's probably going to be the best way to go for most of you out there. And if you have an electric, of course, you can use that too. That's what George is using on the album. He has a semi-hollow body electric, but I think with a lot of electric guitars, the action's set up to be kind of low. So whenever you go into an alternate tuning, sometimes the action doesn't really work. It's either too low or too high. So anyway, acoustic guitar is a little bit less sensitive to alternate tunings, so that may be a good way to go. Generally with the electric guitars, if you have a fixed bridge instrument like a Tele or some sort of a Gibson, then you're probably going to be better off than trying to detune to an alternate tuning or tune up to an alternate tuning, especially if you have something with a floating bridge like a Strat or some other guitar where you have a whammy bar. That's going to make it a little bit harder to do this alternate tuning. So anyway, just something to think about for you there.